Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey and we're here in beautiful Brooklyn, New York at the Windmill Studios for the 26th edition of the Brooklyn Film Festival. I'll be speaking with some of the filmmakers and stars of the evening right after this. Brought to you by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. JMRNY.com. Joining me now is the star, the writer, and director of Forgive Me, Father, Mr. James Btrayed. James, how does it feel to be here tonight in Brooklyn?
I'm very excited. This will be the first time we're actually showing the film in front of an audience.
Is this your first time seeing it with an audience?
Yes, yeah. This is my first time seeing it with an audience, and I'm very excited to see the reaction. You know, you're in post-production, and I've seen the film so many times, but you sort of tend to lose perspective a little bit, I think, when you're just watching it by yourself over and over, obviously, and I'm very excited to see it in front of an audience who hasn't seen the film yet. That's more exciting.
So for people who haven't seen it, and talk right here, tell us about the film, what it's about, what happens, and give me a little story of how it came about.
You know, it's a story that I've been thinking about for about 20 years, and it was inspired by some true events as a kid growing up in Bronx, New York, and it's something, I've been an actor for 35 years, and I've been a working actor, and it's a story that I felt I've wanted to tell for about 20 years, and about 3-4 years ago I decided, you know what, I'm just going to write it, it's time, and I wrote it over the course of 2 years or so, and then I finally got some friends involved, and we raised a little bit of money. I cast mostly my friends in the film, who are also wonderful actors in New York here, and that's sort of how it came about.
Yeah, to me, it's a real New York movie. So it's got a real, and it looks like you used a bunch of locals. Yeah. Like everybody feels like they're from the city.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Most of them are actually actors, but great actors, and they did a great job, and that's why they seem sort of like locals. I cast them because they were right for the roles, and only a couple of people actually who weren't actors, but they were so good, I decided to put them in the movie. You know, when I was writing it, I think the two big themes for me, redemption and revenge, and where they cross. Childhood trauma, is something that can last for decades and has long-lasting effects, and that was something I also was toying with when I was writing it. The story itself is, it's about a guy who gets out of prison, and after serving a 25-year sentence, he sort of wants to live a simple life. He gets a job in a hardware store, and then one day in walks this very old priest, and he realizes it's the priest that molested him when he was a kid, and that sort of throws the story into the second and third act.
Now, you said it was based on true events. Was this based on true events as in...
It was inspired by true events. So, when I was a kid, there was a very good friend of mine committed suicide at 16 years old because he was molested by a priest.
Wow. So probably not. This is not going to play at the Vatican anytime soon.
No. Although I got to say, I don't particularly think it's an anti-religion film. I think if I wanted to make a film that was anti-religion, I would have made a film about how they, moved priests from one parish to the other and hid all of that. But it's really not about. It's not an anti-religion film. It's an anti-child abuse film,
In making it, it looks like a real indie, like a real New York street indie. I wanted to ask you, who are your influences for this? Like as filmmakers, who are the guys that inspired you?
I got a wide range of filmmakers that I love. Quentin Tarantino is one that I love. John Cassavetes is a guy that I've always loved. I was inspired. And then I like, Claude Berry is one of my favorite. He's a French director. It goes all over the map.
It gave me like a real Jim Jarmusch-y kind of late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah, I could see that, absolutely.
Now you're seeing it here in the theater for the first time. What does it mean to you to have a movie of yours play in a theater in front of a live audience?
It's very exciting. It really is. It's a sense of accomplishment. I have such a deep respect for anybody who makes a film now. It's such a hard thing to do, especially when you do it sort of independently. And I have so much respect for filmmakers now after having gone through this journey. And, I tell friends all the time, nobody sets out to make a bad movie. They put their heart and soul into it. And, sometimes they turn out great and sometimes not. But even when the ones don't turn out great, I still love them and I still respect the people that made them.
What are the plans for the movie going forward in terms of distribution?
Well, we got probably the next 6 months. We're trying to get into other film festivals, and then we haven't really pursued the distribution yet, but that'll be the next step, probably this fall.
Thank you so much, James.
Jason, it's a pleasure, man.
James
Thank you so
Btrayed.
much.
The film is Forgive Me, Father, here at the Brooklyn Film Festival.
Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. I'm here with Hannah Lauer, one of the stars of Forgive Me, Father. Hannah, how does it feel to be here in Brooklyn tonight?
It feels very good. I am very nervous but excited because this is my first film. But yeah, it feels very good.
This is your very first film ever?
Feature film, first feature film, yeah.
And this is your first time seeing it with an audience?
Yes, it is. So it'll be kind of a cold read of all of it.
Tell us a little bit about your character and the role.
Melinda is just a young woman who takes care of her grandma who has dementia, and you kind of just meet her in the very beginning, just really struggling to get by, supporting herself and her grandma, and she kind of resorts to some unhealthy vices, and is just trying to make it work, but she just kind of has a split moment decision that she wants to change for herself and for her grandma, and she kind of goes through that, and James's character just kind of helps her along the way as well.
What kind of a feeling do you expect people to walk away with? What kind of impact do you think the film will have on people?
I think that I think it's a pretty cathartic feeling at the very end of it. I think a lot of tension is built up throughout, but I think that no matter what, thankfully, with some of the contents of this movie, it does become it is very cathartic in the end.
What do you got next coming up? Do you have any other projects, and where can people learn more about you online?
I have like a few in the works, nothing that can be necessarily claimed just yet, but as I said, this is my very first, and I'm more than excited to just keep on going from here.
Do you have an Instagram or a website or anything like that?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's just at Hannah Lauer.
Fantastic. Hannah Lauer for Forgive Me, Father here at the Brooklyn Film Festival. Thanks so much, Hannah. Joining me now is Joe Pissarro, who plays Joe in Forgive Me, Father. Joe, welcome to Brooklyn. So tell me, how does it feel to be here this evening?
I love it. This is fantastic. Jimmy is a very close friend of mine. I've known him for 30 years, and I'm very excited for him. He worked so hard on this thing. You can't imagine. And I just feel happy for him. I'm really excited for him. Not me, I don't care.
So tell me a little bit about you in the film. Tell me about your role.
Well, Jimmy's character has a very disturbing past, and he finally gets out of jail, and I play his good friend, Joe, and I try and help him. I don't know what his intentions are, but I try and, help him out, steer him in the right direction. And it's very interesting because we are good friends, so it's kind of an advantage in a way to play a good friend to a good friend when you are good friends in real life. So it was really fun. It was really fun. I mean, there's some emotional spots, and it was real because he's my buddy.
Yeah, you guys definitely had real chemistry on stage and on screen.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you a question. So this, to me, is like a real New York movie.
Oh, yeah.
And you seem like a real New York actor.
I am a real New York actor. I never went to Los Angeles. I've been acting in New York for about 35 years, done a lot of stuff. I never went to L.A.
What do you think?
Not that I have anything against it.
What do you think makes a good New York movie?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got to capture the culture of New York, the scenery, the locations, all the different ethnicities. I think that, and of course you got to have a good story. Period. I don't care where you are, and you got to have a good DP.
Okay, thanks so much, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you for the interview.
I'm here with Santo Fazio, who plays the heavy in Forgive Me, Father. Santo, how does it feel to be here in Brooklyn tonight?
Awesome. I'm so happy for Jimmy. You know what I mean? It was such a lot of hard work, a lot of work, and it paid off, I guess.
And how did the role come to you?
Well, I know Jimmy for a long time, and I was lucky enough for him to think of me for this role, and he came to me with it, and I of course accepted.
All right, tell us a little bit about the character, a little bit about the part.
Well, the character, like you said, he's the heavy, right? He's the villain. He has a nice little arc throughout the film. He's creates a lot of chaos, a lot of havoc in the story. So,
And what is his profession?
he runs a strip club, and then he deals drugs, I believe.
Having this in Brooklyn, what does that mean to you?
Well, my father's from Brooklyn, from Red Hook, so it means a lot to me. So I'm very proud for this to be premiering at the Brooklyn Film Festival. It's very, 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 very proud of that.
What kind of impact do you think the film will have on people?
I'm just hoping it just like provokes thought, provokes thought about the human experience, you know what I mean? Like the tragedies, and the long-term effects, that little tragedies have on our lives, you know what I mean? Or big tragedies. They stay with us forever, these tragedies that we experience, it's we got to navigate through them, you know what I mean?
Thank you so much. Is there anything that you're doing next that we can look for you in?
Well, actually, I'm lucky enough to be over at Tribeca next weekend. Yeah.
We'll be there too.
Oh, really? So, yeah, I was lucky enough to be a part of David Duchovny's film. Yeah.
So you're in Bucky Effie Dent.
Exactly. Yes, I am.
Fantastic, man. I hope we see you there.
Maybe I'll see you there.
Thanks so much,
Santo.
Santo.
Thank you, brother.
Congratulations. Joining me now are Alan Pruzans and Peggy Case, the producers of Sweetheart Deal. So, guys, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
So, and you traveled here all the way from Seattle.
We did.
So, tell us a little bit about the film.
The film is a highly immersive verite look at 4 sex workers in Seattle, on a notorious area of Seattle, Aurora Avenue North, which every city has one, where the ladies of the night walk up and down, and it focuses on opiate addiction and the vicious cycle of addiction and sex work that kind of perpetuates itself. And also there's a supposed Good Samaritan character, an old hippie who has an RV, and he takes in some of these women and takes care of them and feeds them and tries to help them kick the habit. But he may also not have all of the best intentions. So there's some true crime involved as well.
So it sounds like a laugh riot, obviously. I'm kidding.
It's a dark,
it's a really dark,
somber film, but with rays of hope and redemption.
So Peggy, you brought this all the way. This is your East Coast premiere. Congratulations. How does it feel to have your film playing here at Brooklyn?
Well, it feels terrifying. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's really exciting. Yeah, we've shown it at 4 festivals so far, all in the Northwest, and every time you screen it, you just don't know how people are going to react, because it's still really new. But we've had wonderful reactions so far, and people stay for a really long time and talk about it. One thing that's going to be really special about this screening is one of the women that's profiled in the documentary is going to join us for the Q&A. Wow. And it's pretty amazing. When people see this film, they often feel like it's a narrative film while they're watching it, because it is so visceral and so immersive, and it's just it's shot absolutely beautifully. The cinematography is beautiful, and so then when it's over and she comes up on the end, walks up, it's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. It also has, I've seen it in festivals a number of times, and the impact it has on audience members. Everybody has somebody that has somehow been touched by drug addiction, and so the story is very localized, but it's also very universal. And it takes place in every city, every small town in this country.
What was like the most surprising reaction that you guys had that would kind of like you didn't expect, or were people really moved? Like, what was the biggest thing that biggest impact you saw?
Well, I think I remember at one of the screenings, I mean, everyone just sat there like stunned. Like people didn't get up right away. People were just sitting there and were like, oh my God, but then everyone started to talk. I mean, it does really have an impact on people, but then they really want to talk once they start to talk because everyone sees the different people differently in the different storylines. So there's a lot to discuss.
You know, we had somebody in the audience at Slam Dance basically got out his checkbook and said, how can I help you get this movie out to more people? How can I get this in front of more people? This, you know, it had touched somebody in his family, and he wanted to get the story told.
Speaking of that, what is the plan for distribution? You guys are on the festival circuit right now. Have you been picked up yet?
We are circling a deal. So
yeah, we're in the middle of talking with some people and exploring different sales and distribution opportunities.
Yeah.
Where do you see it? Do you think this is a streaming film? Do you want to get it a theatrical release?
It's really wonderful showing it in a theater, an audience with other people. So of course we want to maintain that opportunity, but we definitely also, you know, see it streaming for sure.
Yeah, we're realistic, and documentaries don't often have theatrical runs. Well, most movies don't have theatrical runs these days. So we're hoping, but a good streaming platform would be fantastic.
If people are interested in the film and want to know more, where can they find you guys online?
They can go to our website, which is sweetheartdealmovie.com.
Thank you guys so much. Congratulations and good luck with the festival.
Yeah.
Joining me now are the star and filmmaker behind Pratfall, Miss Chloe Groussard and Mr. Alex Andre. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Brooklyn. How does it feel to be here tonight?
I'm very excited, very grateful.
Very excited. Love the venue.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to be screening here a little later in the festival, but can you give me a little bit of background on the film and give us a little bit about what's it about and how did it come about?
It's a character study about Eli. He's kind of a broken character dealing with a lot of loss, and he has a routine, and his routine is sort of his way of dealing with that loss, distracting himself. And he doesn't sleep, and he meets Joelle in Central Park, and she's sort of like this beacon of light for him, and Joelle's this down on her luck character, and she's a tourist in Central Park who wants to see the city, and Eli sort of warns her about the demons, the darkness of the city, and but they end up going on this sleepless journey over a course of three nights.
So, Chloe, tell me a little bit about your part. Tell me about Joelle, and how did she get into this mess? How is she in Central Park with like no money and no place to go?
Yeah, so I guess that Joelle was very excited about the idea of just traveling to New York, getting away from her messy and weird and dark life. She wanted to see New York, but when she arrives in New York, she just realizes that it's not exactly what she expected. She just ends up being broke and having no friends to talk to and nobody, and she finds that guy very interesting, Eli, so she just asks him to show her the city. You know, sometimes you just have a form, not romantic, but just a form of attraction towards some human being who kind of are weird, and so that's the way she felt towards Eli. She insists, she wants him to show her the city, he accepts, and she's just excited about the journey, and she can't hold her excitement, which is kind of irritating for Eli, but she's just very, I would say, untired. She's just very raw. And I remember Alex was telling me, you know, Chloe, you have to be kind of a sunshine to Eli, so I just try to be, you know, kind of sometimes somehow naturally myself and trying to be joyful and playful to try to open up what was hiding, you know, this guy, and I had fun shooting this.
So tell me about your relationship with your lead actor, the gentleman who plays Eli.
Yeah, Joshua, you know, I've been a fan of his work for a very long time. He's obviously done Buzzard, Relaxer, these films with Joel Patrikas, and I've just been a major fan of his work. And so I was able to reach out to him, and he I sent him the treatment. I also sent him my short film, and which he was impressed by, and he just responded very positively to it. And we were able to. I thought it'd be an amazing pairing to have Chloe and Joshua on screen. And I think it would be very captivating for audiences, and that was very important.
And you guys have good chemistry. Was that something like, did you guys rehearse? Like, how did you guys find it?
The casting was half the battle, I think, and I just knew the two of them. Just from working with Chloe on my short film, and then knowing Joshua, I think I knew it was going to work. And that's why a lot of the scenes are just very long, and I think there's one scene in particular, the diner scene, which goes on for a long time, but I was very confident about keeping that length because it's just so great to watch them.
And the funny thing is that Joshua and we actually met on set the first day shooting the first scene.
Yeah.
So we didn't met before. We had no idea how we would function together, no rehearsal, nothing. Yeah. And so I felt like this is also what makes the chemistry work, because Alex was confident about that, and we followed these two characters starting to know each other, but it was also the reality. We were really, as human beings, starting to know each other and asking questions about each other and everything. So this chemistry is very actually natural. Yeah.
It felt like the dialogue felt like very improv and things like that. Was there improvisation, or was it tightly scripted?
It wasn't improv, but it was sort of on the day we blocked out the scenes. There were specific lines and points in the scene, but it wasn't improvised. But there were some choices that were made in the scene by all three of us, because it was really the three of us working together.
We were trying things like Joshua and I, on a daily basis, we knew where we needed to go. We knew where we had to go in terms of beats and actions. But I would say that the dialogues, we were kind of free to try and do what we were. So I would say it was maybe a form of improvisation.
There was a structure to the scenes, but again, the actors were able to make choices within those scenes. Yeah.
It feels. I mean, obviously, the character Eli, he's got a lot of strong feelings about New York. Were these your feelings? Had you lived here before? Like, because you're not living here now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's interesting. It's refreshing to see it whenever a filmmaker is an outsider from the city. I think it's an interesting, but I'm not from New York, obviously. Yeah.
But the character definitely is. Eli, he's like a native New Yorker type.
There was sort of a question about that as well in the film, because his accent is not quite New York, so we kind of played with that a bit.
And have you guys seen it with an audience yet, or is this your premiere?
This will be the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how does that feel? Or what's the anticipation? Like, and what give me like what do you feel like the impact will be, and what? I mean, I don't know if you have a preconceived notion, or what are you thinking?
I feel like this doesn't belong to us anymore. Like,
Right.
I feel like we've done what we had to do. We were so immersed in the whole process, and it was just very intense and so beautiful and wild at the same time. And we're very proud and happy with what is happening around the movie. And now I feel like it doesn't belong to us anymore. One sure thing is that I'm excited about the idea that people are going to talk about New York after that, and like all the places we were with Eli. And ultimately it's about just connection and human being relationship, and the fact that we all need each other at the end of the day. So I'm excited to hear debates about that, maybe. Yeah.
And what's the plan for the film going forward? Have you guys acquired distribution yet?
We're working on that, obviously, in potentially other festivals, but that's in the future. Yeah.
And if people want to know more about you and about the film, where can they find you guys online?
For me, chloegrusard.com, and my Instagram is Kraph, CRAPH.
My Instagram is @Alexandre, and website is alexandre.com.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. The film is Pratfall here at the Brooklyn Film Festival. And that's all from the 26th edition of the Brooklyn Film Festival. For more of our content, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. I'd like to thank everyone who came out to talk to us here tonight, and a big thanks to our sponsor, JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.